Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, aka the Kilted Prepper, and today we're going to talk about the pros and cons and what you need to know about crossbows as a starting prepper. But before we do that, if you're interested in the detective stories, in a link, there will be a link in the description of my first book called Bloody Crosses. It's in Dutch, and if you're interested, I would say take a look. So, crossbows. Why? What are the pros and the cons of a crossbow and the things that you need to know about it? Well, I would always say if you're going to buy a crossbow, you need to know for what situation you're going to use them. For hunting, I would to put my bow to the side. For hunting, I would usually will use more of my longbow. Why? Because this has a longer range and I can be a little bit more accurate over longer distances, and that will give me a chance to hit something, some small game or a game, before it will notice me and run away. That's something that you have an advantage with a bow like this. The disadvantage is you have a big profile, so you cannot crawl to shoot from easily from cover. So you have this whole thing that you need to do before you're going to take aim. With a crossbow, you don't have that problem. A crossbow, you can just lay down on the ground, you can take aim, you have a low profile. It's a little bit of a wide profile, but for hunting, a crossbow is more of an ambush weapon. Because in contrary to a bow, like you saw, before you take the shot, you will have to pull, and that small movement can alert an animal and run away. And that's a little bit problematic. With the crossbow, it's always cocked and fired and ready to fire whenever you want. So that's another benefit of it for in hunting, and it shoots hard. So if you're going to hunt with this, it's going to pierce through very accurate on short ranges. But that's a disadvantage because, like I said, this needs a short. This is more for short ranges, but you're very accurate with it, so it's handier for hunting small game and to take a deadly shot from the first time, because this thing will shoot very hard. So the next thing I would advise is, if you probably can see, I have painted my crossbow in a little bit more natural colors. Why? Because this thing was all orange, and when they sell it. So yeah, if you're going to buy it, don't look at the colors, you can just paint it yourself and it will be less visible from further away. The same thing goes for the arrows. As you can see, there is, it's not an arrow but a bolt inside of it, and the only color is the flags. So you can change the flags if you want into something less conspicuous, but you can also have one of those bolts that are more colorful. And one would say, why would you choose for dark bolts or for a bolt with a color? Well, one of the best things about a crossbow, in contrary to firearms, is you can retrieve your bolts. So if you shoot a camouflage arrow, yeah, good luck finding that if you miss. But if you have a colored arrow, you can find it back. So that's something depending, like I said before. It depends on the situation you're going to use it. Is it for hunting or is it for self-defense? And now we're going to talk about the aspects of self-defense. The main reason why I have a crossbow is because it's a good self-defense weapon. First of all, if you're going to use a crossbow for self-defense, I would advise to get something like this. This is like a medium crossbow. You have one of those crossbow that fits in one hand. It's like more like a pistol crossbow. And you have one of those really big motherfuckers. But I choose this sort of white. Why? Because it was in my budget. There are crossbows that are very, very expensive, and there are crossbows who are very cheap. I would say do not go for the cheap ones. They will break at the smallest things, by the slightest drop. It's not the best quality. So I would say, but to choose for the most expensive ones, that's also not good in my opinion, because yeah, they cost a lot, and the more they cost, the more mechanical parts they are, And the more mechanical parts, the harder the maintenance and to use. So this is a crossbow that is just manual. You pull it back manually. That's also the reason why you have this feet. You pull it back, you cock it, and you shoot. But you also have one of those compounds crossbows with controls on the sides. And in my experience, I once owned a crossbow, a compound bow with all these controls. They take more maintenance, they are harder to function, and they are more dangerous when they go wrong, because but if you have one of those compound crossbows and it touches in the wrong way, flies off, and it's like a firearm that discharges itself, it's very dangerous. So I prefer this kind of crossbows that are just simple, or simple to make, more simple to maintenance and to use, in my opinion. So what are other things that you need to know? In self-defense, I would say, if you what is here is, like I said before, you can take cover. So if you're going to crawl, you can crawl with the crossbow in one hand to get to your cover. If you're going in a cover like this, you have a very low profile where somebody shoot back, even if they have a firearm or something. And the next thing I would say is, another benefit for home defense is this will penetrate very deep. A crossbow can penetrate soft body armor, not like ceramic body armor, but soft body armor. It can penetrate, because if you perhaps can see, I will take the. If you can see, it's a very, very sharp point. And those sharp points can go between the fibers of a Kevlar bullet, of a Kevlar vest. And another thing that you can choose, if you're going to choose bolts, is you can take the top of the bolt off, like this, and you can replace whatever you want to shoot. There are some arrows, like for hunting, that you can screw on, and these have one of those razor wings, and that will cut more of the blood vessels if you're going to hit a small game, and that is less suffering for the animal and more chance that they will not run away a kilometer before they are finally bleeding out like this, or you have more chance to hit a vital organ. So that's something that you also can do with this kind of bolts, depending on your situation. And what I did with my crossbow is, because some people, they have their crossbow, but they are a little bit unwieldy to go into close quarters. But depending how you go, you can just, as always, you can always take aim. And if you're going around the corner, you can just go a little bit on the sides, and that way you have a smaller profile that is like this. If you would do it like this, sticks out more, because this is hitting the wall, it's less ideal to go around and take aim. So I would always advise to, if the crossbow allows it, to go like this around the corner, less profile. But it has one of those, this one has one of those flaps that keeps the bolt in place. So if you don't have one of these that are just laying on top of it, and you do like this, they just fall out. And the next thing is, they also are not stable if you're going to shoot like this, like a bow. But for very close combat quarters, like inside of your house, if somebody is direct around the corner in the hallway, then you can shoot like this, but not like this for longer distances. So that's something that you need to also think about. Another thing about crossbows is, there's usually two ways to reload these things. Usually like this. You can see this here, you stick your foot in, and you take your foot in and you pull it with your shoulders. You don't pull with your back, because at one point your back will hurt a lot. And I would say the best thing you can do is take your shoulder, put it against the shoulder rest, and then pull it, and that way you don't have to injure your back while pulling it. But there are certain crossbows that have a pull system, and that pull system you can put it on, and with one arm or with a winch you can pull it back. but those are more older system or for specialized crossbows. But this is a strong one, but also light enough to handle it by persons who even don't go to the fitness, so that's a bonus. So some things that I would advise to do with your crossbow is, like I said before, camouflage it, because if you are going to do some home defense and they can even see some reflective light from something very colorful in the dark, they know where to shoot first. And shooting first is one of the best things in a dangerous situation to get the upper hand. The next thing I would advise is get a light. Like you see, I make a makeshift light on my crossbow, so I can go around at night in my house without putting on the lights and just going around. And another thing is, because it's one of those big flashlights, and if you connect them sturdily, you can use it as a handle for aiming and getting some control over your weapons. Another benefit is, from the moment you hear something and you want to not give away your position, you can just put your hands in front of it, and then they will not see you. Till the moment you think you have a shot, you can do it like that. Another benefit is, if you can see it, blinking light. So if you are in a close quarter combat and you are and you catch somebody in the night, and their eyes are adapted because they waited for the moment in the night to strike, to get into your house, burglars, robbers, whatever. Their eyes are usually adapted to low light, and if you shine right in their eyes like this, they will be temporarily blinded, and that will give you more chance that they will need to comply or they will get shot. Give them a warning, and yeah, the choice is there then. So it's like a tactical option that you can do with your crossbow. So another thing I would say is, as you can see, I took one of those wristbands, and it's something that I can put 4 arrows in it. So why some people will say, but that's not handy to have it like that. Well, I'm a lefty, I'm a left-handed person, but I always shoot for some reason on the right side when I use my crossbow. So with this I can reload with my left hand. We can pull it foot in, shoulder, pull, and that because my left hand is more used for small tasks, small precision tasks. So because if I would do it with my right hand, because my right hand is usually not that how do you say this, adapted to a specific task, it's more of a hassle to get the arrows. So in this way, my main hand is the one that is used for doing everything. Another thing that you need to have is, as you can see, it is wax. And why do you need wax for a crossbow? Well, not many people know that for a crossbow like this, you need to wax the surface that is going to slide the bolt on top of it. As you can see, this is just like a sort of wax chapstick, I think it's called in English, and you smear it over this surface. And you should do this for every 3, maybe 4, maximum 4 bolts that you launch with a crossbow. Otherwise it will be too dry and it will get stuck, and your arrow will start to vibrate, get a little bit stuck, lose some of its power or less of its accuracy, because it's getting stuck on the dry sides of the bolt carrier. So that's something that you need to watch out for. It's not like in Walking Dead, that guy who is keep shooting bolts, but you never see him apply some wax on top of his crossbow. So that's something very dangerous. So another thing that I want to talk about is transporting. Transporting a crossbow is very annoying. With a bow, it's just like release the strings, and it's just like a stick, and even the police will not directly think it's a bow. With this, you have to montage everything off, and that could take for a very long time. So yeah, this is something more efficient for home defense than going on a bug out unless it should hit a fan and there is no rule of law, then this could be taken on a bug out, but this is more for bugging scenarios. Another thing that you need to watch out for, because with a bow, it is a very long string, but these strings, you can make them yourself with bases. I don't know how do you say this in English, but the parts of animals, their muscles, you can twist them into this kind of strings. But for a crossbow, because there is so much power behind a crossbow, it will take specialized strings. So if you're going to buy a crossbow, always buy 1 or 2, perhaps 3 of these reserve strings that you can attach to these. That's another benefit of this kind of crossbow that are manual, in contrary to a compound crossbow, because they need a whole system to pull the controls together and mechanically remove it and put others on top of it. And when they are breaking, it's very dangerous with the compound. With this breaks, these sides will move, but yeah, there is not much danger next to that, so it's easy to change these things. Accuracy, yeah, like I said before, it's for very close encounters, but it can penetrate to body armor. It's very accurate, and for reload time, I would say a bow is better. But if you want to be more of a sniper, get a crossbow. I would say you can also have different kind of sights on a crossbow. I prefer sights just like this. These are some manual sights, conventional sights. I don't like to use these kind of sights that are with for further distances, like scopes or something. Those are perhaps for high quality crossbows, but not for simple ones like this. And they can reflect some lights, and that could be dangerous during the night or when you're hunting, when the sun is glancing in the lens of the scope. So yeah, those are all things that you need to think about when you're going to use a crossbow. I think I told everything that need to be told for any prepper who wants to start with a crossbow. But yeah, I would say go to a friend who has a crossbow and try to practice with it and ask things that you want to know, or that he thinks this is something that you need to watch out for, or this is the type of crossbow, because they perhaps have more experience with different types or brands of crossbows. So, that's another thing. This is more improvised, so it is more for indoors. During hunting, I would lose a lot of more arrows, but yeah, it saved me some money, because I don't want to spend a lot of money on more technical things like a bolt holder, tactical flashlight. So this is more improvised, but if you save money, you can use that money for other things like buying rice, barley, or other food types of other projects that you need. So I would not spend too much money on a crossbow, but also not too little money, so to say. I also would advise to get at least 10 bolts. With 10 bolts you can do a lot, as long as you do not misuse them. What do I mean by misuse them? Because some people, they like to fool around with these kind of things. If you fool around with this, it can have, if you hit somebody with it, it can have devastating consequences. But if you're going to do some target practice, I would advise to get first a soft target, and behind it a target that can catch the bolt, but not like, more like a book with soft pages where it can penetrate through it and stop it enough before it reaches the flags, because this thing will shoot through my target, and my target consists out of a thick layer of arrow isomo, and behind it there are several layers of those nets to catch arrows during tournaments of archery, and behind it I put a book behind it, and even then it will almost hit the flags, and you do not want these to get damaged, otherwise they will lose their accuracy. And I would say get some several layers between, so it can penetrate, but there's some layers that it can cut on, is what I'm trying to say. Otherwise, because I have done this with several arrows in the past. If it hits something too hard, like plywood, regular wood, then it will start to stump the point. It will also, because of the force, it will get too much force here, and this force will start to bend the middle. You don't want a bended bolt in your crossbow. That is just a disaster. So get more something like a layer of how do you say this, sandbags, and behind that something soft and hard like a book that is hard enough to stop it, but soft enough that it will not immediately get that bent because of all the power that it suddenly stopped in it. So yeah, that is all I have to say about if you want the pros and cons of crossbow. So I would say if you have any experience, because I'm not that experienced with crossbows, and yeah, I have more experience with my archery. I would say look in my video about longbows for preppers, and you will see me talking about that more in depth. But for crossbows, ask a person with more experience for finer details, or what is suiting more for your personal things. But a crossbow is handy for hunting and self-defense, in my opinion, and it's fun for target practice. So yeah, why not get one, I would say. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and thanks for watching, and see you next video. Cheers!